We want to see how we can accelerate, because we know that COVID has set us steps back.
We expect to raise awareness of our policymakers, of our decision makers.
The best investment that you can give to anybody is education.
The African continent accounts for 38% of the world's out-of-school children. Sub-Saharan Africa in particular has the highest rate of school exclusion of any region in the world. More than a fifth of children aged between 6 and 11 do not go to school. This figure rises to a third of young people aged 12 to 14, and almost 60% of young people aged 15 to 17 do not attend school, according to UNESCO. Faced with this situation, the African Union's Commission, in collaboration with other educational stakeholders, are committed to promoting equitable and universal access to education in Africa.
We want to see how we can accelerate, because we know that COVID has set us steps back. We know that the ongoing crises, geopolitical tensions, conflicts on the continent have also taken us some steps backwards. So we want actually to see how we are going to come back and accelerate even more the outcomes for girls and women's education. But as we do, we also look at the ball, because it will need to be sustainable with both girls and boys being actually educated in a manner that is going to be self-reinforcing for programs like fighting against gender-based violence and other not so good outcomes that we see are still facing women and girls in this country.
Inequality between girls and boys, men and women, particularly in the education sector, remains a major challenge in achieving the African Union's Agenda 2063 Aspiration 6 and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4. Today, 32.6 million girls of primary or lower secondary school age are not enrolled in school in sub-Saharan Africa. To alleviate this problem, the African Union Commission, among its strategies, organized the first African Union Pan-African Conference on Girls and Women's Education at the AU's headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, from 2nd to 5th July 2024, through its specialized institution, the African Union's International Center for Girls and Women's Education in Africa, with a view to ensuring equitable access to quality education, particularly in humanitarian situations.
We expect to raise awareness of our policymakers, of our decision makers around having gender-sensitive policies at country level and making sure that you are implementing them, not only taking the regulation, acting a law and without enacting it properly, because it is easy to sign a regulation or a law, but to forget it.
Although promoting education for girls, women, boys and men is at the heart of the African Union CFR, the African Union Commission in general, UN development partners, civil society organizations and other NGOs on education, ignorance, early child marriages and gender-based violence are some of the factors still hindering universal access to education on the African continent. These out-of-school children represent a significant proportion of the continent's future generation.
Why we are reaching, the UN Agenda 2030 and also the AU Agenda 2063. But before those agenda, we have the African Continental Strategy on Education, which we usually call the CESA, the Continental Education Strategy, which starts in 2016 and which will end very soon in 2025. And there is a gender equality strategy to this CESA. And this gender equality strategy was aiming, to bring the gender dimension within the continental education strategy. But Most have been done, a lot have been done, but there are still barriers, obstacles are still there.
Advocating for girls and women's education in Africa has also been a focal point in bridging gender disparities in education. According to statistics from UNESCO, women are overrepresented in humanities, social sciences and care work, and account for only 35% of science, technology, engineering and mathematics tertiary education graduates. High-level dialogues on gender equality in education, the Africa Educate Her campaign, the Continental Strategy for Education in Africa, among other strategies, have played a crucial role in improving this situation.
The best investment that you can give to anybody is education. And that is what has inspired my work. I have worked in women and girls education all my life. And I want to say I've touched many lives, have changed, have shaped the futures of many of the girls. And that makes me, as a proud African woman, yeah.
African leaders, UN organizations, non-governmental organizations, stakeholders in girls and women's education in line with the African Union's Year of Education 2024 express strong commitment to ensure quality and equal education is provided to girls, women, boys and men across the African continent.
My vision is one of equality, and I have to reflect and pause when I say equality. When we talk about equality, it does not mean that we're undermining anyone. It's important that all of us, men and women, enjoy our rights, our human rights, our economic rights, our right to live in a safe environment, our right to bodily integrity, our right to be free of child marriage, our right to be free of FGM, our right to have equal salaries with men based on equal competencies. So that's all. It's not about undermining one gender over the other.
Investing in women's education is investing in women's economic empowerment, poverty eradication and inclusive economic growth, which is a direct path toward gender equality according to experts. Girls at school, educated girls have contributed to the economic emergence of Africa, as Efe Yukala, CEO and founder of Impact Her, has mentored and empowered over 140,000 African women entrepreneurs in 53 African countries.
We have directly supported 140,000 women across 53 African countries, helping them get access to finance, helping them access to the capacity they need to scale their businesses, providing them with entrepreneurship skills, as well as the mentorship that they need to grow.
The 10 declarations and recommendations of the African Union's first Pan-African Conference on Girls and Women's Education in Africa as part of the implementation of the roadmap related to the AU Team of the Year 2024 also awakens commitment and urges AU member states, governments, civil society organizations, religious and traditional leaders, among others, to strengthen their dedication in ensuring equitable access to education across the African continent.